Hi, in this video I am going to talk about the article editor that we will use to update the website. The first topic we will talk about is just a brief overview of the login functionality, and then pointing out and talking about the three distinct areas of the editor. So let us start. First thing we have to do is click on the admin link at the bottom of the page. We will be presented with this input form for our username and our password. And if we do that correctly, clicking on the login, it will take us into the content administration area of the website. Right, so let us create a new article. When you create a new article, of course, you will be presented with a blank editor screen where you can simply type in your article. Now, the three distinct areas of the article editor is that area there, which is the area where you can either save or cancel or look at previous versions of any one specific article. Then you have this area, which is the menu for the article editor. You've got a content tab, a publishing tab, a language tab, and a metadata tab. And for each one of those tabs, like the content tab in this specific case, you have the main area here, and if I scroll down up until there, where you will deal with the content. Of course, you have a different type of area for the publishing and a different type of screen for the language tab, and yet another for the metadata tab. You will notice as I move around there are tooltips popping up in the black and white, as you can see there. Title, which is the title for the article, and an alias, quite a technical description of what the alias is all about, but not to worry about those things too much. We'll talk about them in a little bit more detail. But the next area we want to talk about is the content tab, as can be seen there. So let us talk about the content tab for a bit. The content tab, of course, consists of the title, as we've pointed out, some editing tools, the article body, and some page tools that we can talk about. So let's start. We are in the content tab. This is the title area. Every article, that little asterisk mean that every article must have a title. You cannot have an article without a title. That would be a mandatory field to fill in. Then we have the article alias, but it is generally auto-generated from the article, so you never have to concern yourself with the alias field. Thereafter, we have the toolbars, our editing tools, all different types of editing tools that we can use to edit our articles, format them, etc. And then we have the main text input area, where we can simply type our text. Right, so this is where we can type the text into that area. Now, just briefly, these tools here are used to format and to help us to put in our main content into this area here. Now I'm just going to briefly go through all of them, very briefly. I'm not going to demonstrate them at all. That will come in a future video. Now you will notice that if I hover over any one of those tools, you do get a tooltip that tells you what they are, so you don't really have to remember anything. Just hover your cursor over, your mouse cursor over a tool, and it'll tell you what it is about. Now you can see there is a tool to save. Now that save has the exact same function as that save, so if you click on either of those two, it'll save the article for you. But to start with, there's a source button which takes you into the HTML source. If I click on that now, you will see this is how it really looks, and what the web really understands is this HTML text that you can see there, all kinds of tags and stuff, but you'd really never have to concern yourself about those things. Only in certain special situations will you need to use that, but hardly ever. Of course, we said that that's a save button, that's a cut button. It means if you highlight some text and you click on that button, it'll cut it out. That is a copy. That is, if I click on that now, if I click on select that text and I say copy that text, put my cursor wherever I want to put it, and I click on that, it will paste my text. But you will see that you need to paste your text in a very special way, but it tells you you don't have to remember this. It says press down your control key on the keyboard, hold it down, and then press the V key. It puts the text that you copied into that field, and you press OK now. It put the text into your article where you had your cursor before you pasted it in. So that is copy, that is paste. That is paste as plain text, so delete and remove all formatting of text and just put the basic text in there. If you paste from a Word document, then you should use that paste button. That button selects all your text. If you click on it, as you can see, it selects everything. That button will of course print it. That button check your spelling. There you can set and check your spelling as you type. So if you click on enable SCAYT, you can now see that it is enabled. So as you type a spelling, I was hoping, there you can see it detected with a red underline that your spelling is incorrect. If you hold your cursor over there, click with the right mouse button, it gives you an option to choose the correct spelling. If you want to undo anything that you've done, you click on that, as you can see. And of course, if you want to redo something, you can use that button. You can see that that button will remove any formatting of any text that you have selected. There you can go find information. You can find a word inside your text very quickly, and then you can click on that button, find words and replace them automatically. You can bold your text, italic, make them cursive. You can underline your text, you can strike through, you can have subscripts, superscripts, you can have block quotes, special characters that you can put in, and you can see all these buttons. I don't have to really explain them all, but that button, for instance, you can see you use to insert an image into your text. With that button you can insert a horizontal line. We will demonstrate this further in a future video. You can have certain styles. We're definitely going to use that in another video. You will see that, and we have all kinds of formatting that we can apply. So all you have to do is hover your mouse cursor over any one of those buttons and you will quickly see what it's all about. Right, so another quick run through, and just so you know what you will use often and what you won't use very often. You will of course save often. You will cut, copy and paste fairly often. You will select your text quite often. I have never printed anything from this screen. I check my spelling, of course, very regularly. You use your undo and redo buttons sometimes, and sometimes if I struggle a bit with formatting, I would remove all formatting and then start again and apply new formatting. I have never found the need to find and replace any text. I use this formatting quite often. Never use strike through, I can't really see the purpose. Never use superscript and subscript. I never use block quotes either, or special characters, never ever. These are buttons that you would use in forms. So I never use any of those in articles. Yeah, of course, if you have numbered lists or bulleted lists, I sometimes would indent and decrease indentation. I of course use this quite often to style your text, left justify, center justify, right justify or block justify. This of course I use often to do linking. That link I would use a lot more than I would use that J3 link. J3 link, means it is internal linking, and that would be more external linking. And of course if you want to unlink something, you use that. I hardly ever use anchors. I very often use the image button to insert images. I don't use flash a lot. I don't use templates a lot. I use tables quite a lot, so that will often be used. I also insert a horizontal lines sometimes. I hardly ever use any smileys, but it's there if you want to use it. Styles, I don't use styles very often in normal formatting, except if we use the front page box. I will demonstrate how I used styles to make sure that our front page box looks the way we want it. I use the paragraph formatting quite a lot, and I normally use normal div for normal articles. Hardly ever use that. Well, I never use that. I never use that. This is not to format your articles, but just to format the editor so you can see what is going on. Yes, the font I always use, the size I always use. Yes, text coloring is very useful, or background coloring is very useful. These buttons is to maximize your editing area, and that is the preview. And this is just a little bit of information about the editor that we're using, and these buttons I never use. So that was now a brief overview of the toolbars and the text editing area. Then at the bottom here you have certain buttons which I do not use often. I hardly ever use them really, It has to do with linking of articles and images, and creating page breaks, and adding a tag to read more. If you want to just show a small portion of the article and click on the read more button and then see the whole article. The next thing I would like to discuss, of course, is the publishing tab. Quite a very important tab, so we have to be aware of the importance of certain of those fields. There are mandatory fields, which is the category field we'll see, and then quite a few non-mandatory fields, but some of them are quite useful. So let's look at that. To get there is we click on that publishing tab link, which takes us to this different page. I'm just going to scroll down briefly so we can see the whole page in the video. Now this is the field that is mandatory, as you can determine from that asterisk to the right hand side, but that is the only field that is mandatory. As you can see, none of these has an asterisk. A very important field though, that field, when you fill that in, determines where the article is going to appear, on which page this article will appear. So if I briefly click on that, you will see we've got a newsletter category, which if we choose that, the article will appear on the newsletter page. So we have a fixtures category, and that will appear on the fixtures page. A match results category, which will appear on the match results page. So if you leave any article uncategorized, it will probably not show up on the page where you expect it to show up. But we will talk about that in a lot more detail in a future video. One thing I can point out, if you do create a practice article, then save it under the admin training page so you can get to it. If it is on that page, which is that page, then the public will not see it, but you, when you sign into the website, you will see it. So you can always go back to your own practice articles. Right, the next field, you've got a tags field, add, and you can see the tooltips that pop up where it says you can add and delete tags to an item. That field I never use. Not necessary to use it. It doesn't serve too much of a purpose. All depends, of course, on the type of website you have. Then a version note. If you want to enter a note for a version, you can do it there, but you don't have to fill that in. The public never sees any of this information in any case. You can put in an author's alias, like you can put in your own name there, but I always leave that empty. No need to fill anything in. The status of any article, of course, it defaults to published. If you save an article, it will be published, immediately published, and the public will see it. Of course, you can unpublish, archive, or trash it. Unpublished means that the article will be accessible by you, but the public won't see it. If you trash it, it will be gone. That means you have completely deleted the article. But as I said, any new article will be immediately published by default. This tab here is only important if you want an article to appear on the front page. This website is set up in such a way that any featured article will show on the home page. So generally, if you want to put an article on any one of these other pages, then it must not be a featured article. So no, not a featured article. And all articles really default to no, so nothing really to do. If you want to delay the publishing of an article, you can put in a future date to start publishing for the article. If you click on that little button there, then you will be given a calendar and you can choose a date if you so wish. If you clicked on that, you will see that it puts in that future date and the current time into the field. If you want to publish an article and you want to publish it only for 3 months, then you can do exactly the same. You can choose a date when it will be finished publishing, and when we reach that date it will unpublish automatically. Then you have a field where you can decide who will be able to see the article. Now generally we want the public to see our articles. If we choose anything else like super users, registered users or special users, it means those users must sign into the website before they can see it. So generally if you have a page for members only, for instance, then you will click on registered users, and only registered users who signs into the website will see the page there, like you can see these menu items because you are signed in. And that is it. So useful. Some of these, like the start and finish publishing, if you wish to do that, yes, you can do that. But the others are really not very useful, and of course most importantly is the category field that you always have to choose the correct category, otherwise your article will not appear anywhere and you won't be able to see that. In that case you will have to contact me so that I can fix it for you. Now that brings us then to the next tab, which is the language tab. To illustrate, if we go to the language tab, you can see all languages as defaulted to, except only English. UK English is available. Not much to talk about on this page, and there's absolutely nothing that you need to do on that tab. Right, the next area we're going to talk about is the metadata tab, where we will deal with the meta description and the keywords. Clicking on the metadata tab, you will be presented with a metadata description input box and a keywords input box. Now what metadata is used for is by the search engines to pick up on any articles that you have written and present it to the public when they do a search on Google, so they can simply click on a link and very quickly go to the article. Now it is useful for businesses, it is useful for news agencies and newspapers and that type of site. Is not very useful for us because generally the members of the Bowls Club will come in, and if they want to see an article they will go to wherever, like the newsletter, or they will go to wherever they want to go to, and not come to it through a search engine like Google or Yahoo. So any article you will find that I never really fill it in because it does not really serve a purpose. this brings us to this little bit where we will wrap up, and I just want to tell you about practicing the editor. Just try it out, and to save the article on the admin training page, and then of course lastly, very important, when you are finished with anything, then don't forget to log off. Right, so if we go back to the content page, once you have written an article like this, here we can, I'm just going to correct it so it is proper. Here we can type our text and enter. This is a practice article. Just briefly, something like that. If you want to save this as a practice article, which I will do now, I will give it a title, practice article 1. I will do nothing more except that in the publishing area I have to choose the page that I want this to appear on, and because I don't want the public to see this, I'm going to put it on the admin training page, on that page where only you and I will be able to see this article. We are the only two that can sign into the website. So I choose the admin training, and that is it. All I have to do now is to click on the save button, which is what I've done, and I get a message that tells me the article is successfully submitted. If I click on that little X, it takes it away. Of course, that message cannot be seen by the public either. It is only for us. And if I now click on the admin training page, I will find that my practice article is on the page, but it says that it's not published yet. So if I click on that edit button, I go back into my article, I click on the publishing tab, and it's not published because I have a future date inserted into this article when it ought to be published. I'm going to leave it like that. No need to change anything, and just cancel out of this because I don't want to change. But that tells you, that explains why this is not published yet. Now when we get to that date, you will find that this thing will automatically start to publish, be published on the website. Right, so looking at our list of contents, this almost concludes this tutorial. The only thing that I want to stress again is that we should always make sure that we log off from the website once we are finished with our work. So to do that, all I have to do is I have to click on the logout button. So if we click on our home button, you will see that there is no way that the public can get to that article that I just published, because these links, these menu links, are not available to them. That is all for this video. Thank you for watching.